My name is Stephanie, and this is my persuasive speech presentation. Okay, over my short lifetime of 14 years, my family has found many pets, mostly including dogs. We found that every breed has its ups and downs, different challenges, things that make it better suited to our lifestyle and where we're living at that moment. For instance, having a husky wouldn't work for my family because we don't have a ton of room for them to play and we can't always be outside with them. And a lot of dogs that we have had have been pit bulls or pit mixes due to how loving and sweet they are and also how energetic they are, which suits my family and all the things we do. Every one of them has been nothing but sweet and loving animals, and they've all been really playful and sometimes a little too energetic, especially around the little kids. But as I got older, I realized that there's a lot of prejudice against pit bulls and a lot of prejudice against the people that own them. It's because of the pit bull's reputation from years and years ago, which shocked me, that people didn't really like pit bulls like my family did. Yet when I listened to their reasoning, few people have had personal bad experiences with pit bulls themselves, and it's more stories that they've heard about the breed of dog that turn around and give them the bad name, which I believe is undeserved. So being a dog owner virtually my whole life has led me to be a part of a lot of animals' lives, and introduced me to a lot of breeds and temperaments of dogs, as well as allowing me to create a special bond with a lot of my own personal pets, who I consider my adopted family members. But with the stipulation on pits, there's a lot of places that would kill my dog on sight just for existing. It doesn't matter what they be doing, for the slightest hint of aggression or anger, because of what other people think they know about the breed, which really isn't true. What if the same misconceptions were true about a German Shepherd or a Lab, and it was your dog on the line? It wouldn't be as okay to people. This is why I believe we need to tear down the walls around pit bull misconceptions and dive into who they really are. Today, I'm going to cover prejudice of pit bulls and their backgrounds, famous dealings with pit bulls and their temperaments, and a couple stories about my own pit bulls. So let's start with the view on pit bulls. Pit bulls today have a long, colorful history leading back to their reputation today. They have questionable beginnings. From all sides, they were bred to be strong and loyal. Some believe they were used at the beginning to bite bull noses so people could strain them back in. And others believe they were bred for World War I, specifically to hunt the enemy and just be used as decoys. So when they spread like wildfire across America, they were herding and working dogs until World War I, and the term went on to be a huge compliment to sports players. If you called somebody a pit bull, they were fast and strong and loyal to their team. And as the breed was very popular in America, there was no fuss about them until the 1980s when a man sicked his pack of 26 dogs on a young woman. And even through all of the court cases through the Florida man, it was all pointed towards the owner of the dog and how he trained them, because he's the one that told his dogs to hurt her. They were protecting him, not that the dogs were aggressive. And there were no more problems with the dog until 1968, when city after city started posing bans against the breeds, and every single one of those things that were proposed became a law. This was due to the dog fights that had started back up again, and pit bulls were the dog of choice because they're intelligent, strong, and are very fast. And all of that, I got to do a lot of research on it from a blog called Caesar's Way, who he owns pit bulls as well. And the prejudice continues today in our city. Even when the ban first started, many animal professionals were really against the idea of breed-specific bans on pit bulls, but they couldn't deny what the people wanted. And animal officers discredit the breed bans by calling them the most concentrated legal assault on a breed. And experts also said that many of the pit bulls' attacks are due to a skyrocketing number of poorly bred and poorly trained dogs raised by backyard breeders who are trying to cash in on the pit bull's growing popularity and strength, particularly in urban areas. And then even after almost 30 years into the pit bull ban, some places are getting rid of their bans slowly and accepting pit bulls again, but there are still bans coming in today, most recent being one in Wisconsin, that's considering instating a new ban on any pit bull mixes as well, which I do not believe is right. And then, so next I'll talk about the misconceptions. A show that became really popular in 2010 was called Pit Bulls and Parolees. The show dealt with a woman named Tia, and growing up, she was in a broken home in California. Most nights she didn't know where she was going to sleep, and this lack of family led her to taking in all of the strays in the area. She had horses and dogs and pigs and cows, and she had a difficult life and managed to raise 2 of her own daughters after she got out of her bad situation, as well as use her love of animals to rescue hundreds of them. Originally, she started out with a pit bull and husky mix farm. Pit bull and husky mix institute for dogs to rehabilitate them. And this continued for a while until she enlisted herself in the Army. And when she got out of the Army, she was instated as a youth counselor for parolees. And it was a chance meeting at a shelter. She went to get a dog for her daughters. And a small brown pit bull. She was built muscular and her looks were terrifying. So when the dog ran at her 2 younger daughters, she was terrified. But by the time she got over to the dog and her daughters, the dog was on top of them, licking their faces and wagging its stubby little tail, which led her to believe that pit bulls weren't as bad as everybody had been telling them. And she watched as animal control officers walked the dog to the shelter and ended up turning around and nicknaming the dog Happy Tail, and ended up starting her pit bulls and parolees shelter with said dog. They ended up going on to film 11 seasons, and all throughout, they were trying to prove to America, and they were trying to prove to everyone in America that they should take a deeper look at these dogs. Just because the situation or the things they were trained to do doesn't mean that's the kind of dog they really are. So my own experience with pit bulls has been really good. Currently, I have a 9-year-old pug, a 7-year-old Brussels Griffin, and a pit bull that's just about to turn 2. And they're all different, but they work together and they all know the rules of our household. Previously, we had a pit bull named Tyson. He was about 9 years old and was very widely built, even though he wasn't very muscular. And he would run and play fight, but anytime my younger sisters or I tried to play with him, he would be more gentle than anything. He wouldn't even bite us, even in a playing way. And our time was short then, because we ended up giving him back to his owners, to our friends. But we thought he was a great dog and we'd love to have him around. And before Tyson, I had a pet named Bobo. We got him as a puppy and we went through every stage together with the dog. We switched his food, we had potty training, we had to deal with him rutting, we had to teach him how to take treats and do all the basic training with him. And he loved kids and would lay patiently while poked, prodded, pulled on, and tackled by me and my sisters. I believe that if people put aside the things they know about pit bulls and tried to get to know them and build their opinions from scratch, no misconceptions, they could actually see how sweet the breed of dog is. And if we're able to change our outlook and put aside our sense of all-knowing humans for a brief period of time, we can make a difference in these animals' lives. The difference will impact not just us, but future generations. They'll no longer be afraid of a dog just because of its breed, and they can once again use the nickname pit bull as a compliment for someone strong, fast, and loyal. It'll also show that we have humanity, because these dogs are so loyal to us. No matter what we do to them, we're their owners. We feed them, we keep track of where they are, we give them a shelter to sleep in, and treating them like dirt just because of their breed isn't something that we should teach these dogs. It's not fair to them. It's not what they deserve. Dogs have been bred by us for thousands of years to give us the traits that we want in them. And the ones we don't, we breed out. If we don't stop this now, the dog fighters who breed their own will just make their dogs more and more aggressive and give a poorer outlook to more breeds. We are also allowing other stories and opinions to make our choices for us. Unless you've owned or been close to someone with a pit bull, you don't have an idea of what the breed is like. Every dog has attributes that's negative, but just because poodles are naturally aggressive, we don't ban them from our societies. They have different ways of thinking and reacting to different circumstances based on what they know and how they've been trained, but so do humans. Today was about the prejudice against pit bulls, what's been done to them in a bad light, people who are trying to help, and why this is so important to me. Pit bulls have been shamed and banned all over America, and it takes talking to people you know in your local government to get the word out, to show others what great dogs they can be and the true reasons behind their judgment. You should make your voice heard. If not for you, do it for the dogs you keep. As a final statement, I'd like to share a quote that I believe that sums up the majority of my argument today. What has been accomplished by Ontario's pit bull ban is that the government has been allowed to avoid the more difficult task of regulating human behavior and finding the resources to educate the public in a meaningful way. Thank you for watching.